There we go. And we are live. Monday morning. Obviously, it's been a green day for cryptocurrency. We're going to take a look at all the coins. Everything's doing very well in terms of the whole crypto market cap right now. Currently, we're sitting as of CoinGecko $2.56 trillion right now. Bitcoin is trading at 5,100 or 51,300. Definitely at a market cap below the trillion, but we're looking to at least get above that 52,000 mark that we do talk about a lot on this channel. Ethereum has just kind of been stagnant. We'll be looking exactly on the charts, talking about Ethereum, how it compares to some of the altcoins making heavy moves today. One being the Binance coin, BNB, doing very well on its shoot up. Overall 7% on the 7-day, but 3.8% on the daily. So seeing a lot of green candles, a lot of daily charts that are doing very well. Cardano being up 6.4% on the day and 25% on the 7-day. We've talked a lot about Cardano being forced down to where it was for so long. But we'll be talking about what's to come for Cardano, why you should hold going into 2020. And also we'll be talking about like my general prospects of 2020 going into what's happening with 2022. Are we going to see a market peak? What are the prices going to be of Polkadot, Cardano, all that kind of stuff on this live stream? So we'll be talking about that. Afternoon, I know the first afternoon live stream. Actually, we're going all the way to 7 p.m. So afternoon, evening. It's kind of a live stream that's put at the beginning of the week. It's not necessarily market open considering we have Sunday, but it's market open for legacy markets. So it's more the time of week that we'd see some general moves. So I figured Monday, probably a great day to go live and talk to everyone about this. So this is going to be a normal thing, week to week, doing 4:30 to 7 going forward on today and on Wednesday. And then we'll, of course, still be doing coffee and crypto. But we see a lot of tokens move that we personally like here on the channel, one being XRP, up 13% on the 7-day. Polkadot up 30% on the 7-day, 31% actually. And we talked a lot about Polkadot. I've said time and time again, especially when we got down to that $23 Polkadot, I was saying it's a great buying opportunity to load up on that dot. Because now we're already up 30% on that drop. So it's definitely held pretty well, but we see a lot of other tokens doing very well as well. So Shiba Inu is up 26%. Polygon Matic was in price discovery not too long ago. So there's a lot going on within the crypto market space. Hey, how's it going, Mark? How's it going, dude? So right now, obviously sitting at 51,300, and this is decisively now. I didn't particularly draw this. I took this from Mark Davis. We'll be taking a look at his tweet in a little bit, but I just want to analyze it and talk it down that Bitcoin has broken through this downwards trend that it was going through. So we see Bitcoin obviously breaking down from the November period that we saw the drop going into December. And again, I echoed Raoul Pal's statement back around in this consolidation zone that we could potentially see just an emotional sell-off into December. Which is exactly kind of what we did. We went through, we broke down below our 52,000 mark, broke down into this zone here, and we're able to break out of this downwards trend, this trend line here. So now everything looks to be in the range that Bitcoin is going to potentially make a swing and go up to the upside. Hopefully we'll go above 52,000 in the near term. At least that will give us a little bit more market confidence on where Bitcoin's going to go. But obviously, if you've watched this channel, then you know that I expect this market cycle to extend into 2022, potentially May, maybe even longer. Some people even think maybe end of year. So a lot of that theory in terms of lengthening market cycle theory is probably championed most by Benjamin Cohen, a famous YouTuber. I'm sure you guys know him. But ultimately, I believe that's probably the most correct instead of, say, the traditional plan B stock to flow, which I believe stock to flow is useful in a lot of ways to determine the market, but it's not the determining factor. And that being the happening is not the determining factor. So a lot of people thought that, hey, we were going into December and we were going to see a market crash. What are we going to expect going into 2022? A lot of people thought we'd go into a multi-year bear market. And of course, that's going to come with a market cycle. Eventually, it does come. But there's a lot of evidence basically supporting that we could lengthen in terms of our market cycle and go longer, right? And eventually kind of delay that market peak out until a later point, which would then come into a lot more predictions, right? It would make sense for a lot of other people's predictions saying that we're looking at a 300K Bitcoin or 150K Bitcoin. Right now, 150K Bitcoin by the end of the year is a long shot. So I can call March, but well, like, and that's it, right? It could definitely be in that zone within that March, April, May zone, completely. It could either be on the early end of the year or the later end of the year. Whatever. I guess at this point, see, this is the put up and shut up kind of moment, because a lot of us have been talking about lengthening market cycles and how the market cycle is going to lengthen. Then a lot of people have been talking about how the market's just going to peak and crash in December. So now it's really the time to see who's right, what side is right. Because by this point, back in 2017, if we take a look, at this point, and this is December 27th, at this point, the market was already collapsing, right? Shortly before Christmas, the market started collapsing here, roughly December 20th. Now, of course, that was just Bitcoin. A lot of other altcoins were still doing well, days, if not weeks after Bitcoin started dropping. But that is what tanked the market. We're not seeing that same motion here. So for people to think that, hey, it's just going to crash because it's December and because it's a 4-year market cycle and all those rigid ideologies, well, I think you're going to be wrong. Frankly. So I think we are absolutely going to go into 2022 and see a longer term for our market cycle before we see the market peak. And it's funny seeing a lot of what projects am I loading up on in 2022. There's probably a lot. I'd probably say a lot of metaverse stuff. I'm slowly trying to dollar cost average Sol because I was late to the game. A lot of things that would really help the NFT space as well. So there's going to be a lot of Cardano airdrops that are going to come through with, say, Sunday Swap, which we'll talk about a little bit later today. So Sunday Swap and everything else, there's going to be all those little subset tokens that you want to watch. Yeah, I probably say it's hard to really say what's going to be super good going into 2022, because I think there are so many new projects coming up as well that we got to be aware of. But there are a lot of other things, like a VeChain, for example, a great like legacy blockchain, been around for a long time, just now getting out of some danger zones for VeChain. So I probably say down here was the accumulation, but it's hard for me exactly to identify, like, am I accumulating any of the big tokens like Ethereum and Bitcoin? As much as I think that people should get some Ethereum and Bitcoin, I have enough in my portfolio that I feel that I can go into other projects at this point. That being said, I firmly believe that the majority of people's portfolio, if they want to play it safe, should probably be Bitcoin and Ethereum. Have a look at NFT style. Is that on CoinGecko? We'll take a look. Is that like something here, or is it a website? NFT style. Oh yeah, there we go. I think this is a space that I don't understand quite enough, right? The NFT space. But I think it has a lot of market potential. And I think a lot of people are pretty bearish about NFTs because they're like, oh, it's not really backed by anything. NFTs are a scam. They're a Ponzi. It's the next tulip bulb pump. And like, well, I understand that sentiment. Yes. On a lot of other levels, NFTs have practical uses, especially when you look at collectibles, when you look at virtual items, and digital ownership of something, or shared ownership in a lot of ways of an object. That can be represented in NFTs. So it looks like this is fairly new. Let's see, do they have a website up right now? It is nice that they're at least on the BSC. I'm not a huge fan of the super high token supply, but I don't think that matters nearly as much as long as the project is good and has a lot of hype coming to it. But one thing that I will say is the BSC, Pancake, and all of that is probably going to grow dramatically coming into the new year. Definitely as more people start to learn about Ethereum, getting into Ethereum, and then learning about, how to negate those fees, which is going to be like the first stop. Typically, for anyone using Binance, at least, the first stop is going to be on the BSC. That's the easiest barrier of entry to get into, as much as like what's best. Of course, I think that there are other solutions like Polygon Matic. That's probably better. Solana is a fantastic blockchain to do a lot of DeFi stuff on. But a lot of people are going to go to PancakeSwap because it's a great platform. It's actually like a really decent platform. So yeah, this could be good. I think it's just so new that I don't know enough to talk intelligently about this. But I definitely say at this point, like, shift your mindset into more of the metaverse NFT stuff if you already have enough smart contract, say, store of value tokens. That's probably what I would say in terms of like what I'm buying into 2022. I'm more trying to diversify and spread out into different sectors that I'm not already touched into, right? So I'm in banking, I'm in saving with a lot of the Cell token and stuff like that. So now it's time to get into more of the NFTs that I really neglected to get into in 2021. Now I got into a little bit, right? I bought a little bit of sand, bought a little bit of mana here and there, but I haven't dramatically gotten into it. Yeah, a lot of coins and tokens are dual release on both networks. I've noticed. Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. There's a lot of homogeneity in the BSC, so it's definitely going to be a good network to go through. It's funny to see people talk about predictions now, right? Because a lot of people are kind of getting their foot put in their mouth about, Bitcoin's going to hit 150K by end of year. Which one, I find it funny that every time somebody says that, they always push back their predictions, like as if it's the Mayan calendar, the end of the world kind of meme that we always see that, oh no, we got the date wrong. It's actually 2 weeks from Sunday. So I feel it's funny that most of the people making predictions going back saying 150K by the end of the year are now changing it dramatically to fit the more lengthening market cycle narrative, which I think is a testament that the market cycle is lengthening. And I think a lot of the reason why we can say that is because of how much support Bitcoin has up at these levels. By now, at this point in 2017, the market was completely crashing down, right? So it's a stark contrast here where we're actually fighting to get back into bull market territories here. We're retesting, say, the 50-week moving average. So if we move down to our week, we are retesting our 50-week moving average, which is proven to be a spot that if we did hold support at that 50-week, it showed that we probably wouldn't see that number ever again. That's actually true. That's actually real. If we look back here when Bitcoin hit the 30K mark, give or take, hit that 50-week moving average, we've never seen that price again, of course, but let's go back a little bit further to go see exactly what's happened. So again, if we've ever retested it, and I think it mainly happened, was it before? Okay, well, so here's one representation. So when we went through and tested it in this section here, we never really saw that low price again. We always moved above that price. Then again here, in this case, right? So again, over that line, I don't think that's working quite well that I want it to be. Is it the 50-week? Oh, I know what it was. I'm looking at a different indicator. Totally looking at a different moving average. But you get my thought process here. Is the fact that we're going into 2022 with this bullish uptrend for Bitcoin, for cryptocurrency, it's looking pretty good, right? It's looking pretty good. So we're getting predictions now of like 333K, which I don't know where the hell they get this number by May of 2022. If the Federal Reserve provides the perfect storm. So this is what a lot of it comes down to too, is we see this big narrative around the US legislation around cryptocurrency right now. And we have a lot of legislation happening around the rest of the world. Like Turkey did like some sort of speed up regulation to get crypto approved. Binance is working with Belarus or another country. We have the article pulled up. We'll take a look at it in a minute. But there's a lot of moves right now in the world to kind of shift over to cryptocurrency. So if the United States doesn't foster the development of cryptocurrency within its borders, it's probably going to lose out dramatically, and cryptocurrency probably won't do nearly as well because of the amount of people in the economy that the United States has. But I do think that fundamentally, I think blockchain is here to stay in the United States, mainly because Jerome Powell is still a bull on CBDCs and having things move to the blockchain. So I think we should be heading into some good regulatory territory with crypto going into 2022, which would make it pretty beneficial for the market cycle. Yeah, a lot of use Vivi and get your first comic book. Oh, cool. Is that for an NFT? Vivi. I will take a look at it. So obviously we're having a lot of predictions being thrown out, and they're matching here a fractal. Now this didn't quite make sense to me because they're still kind of basing it off of the halvening. But it is kind of around the lowest point in the market cycle, so I'll kind of give it to them. And they're estimating it based on that fractal. Like if we continue at this pace, continue this uptrend, we could go parabolic and go to a $333,000 Bitcoin. I get the thinking, I get the fractal placement, I understand exactly what they're trying to say. I'm not sure that it's going to work out to that price, right? Like I definitely believe in say 150 to 200k Bitcoin, but from now to May is not a lot of time. So we do got to expect exactly kind of like what price that'll be. So to kind of give that a perspective for where we are right now, and going to 333k by May, that's that rise, which isn't like a crazy rise, right? Like this isn't like unheard of. You know, we even did a more like steep rise here, so like it's not unheard of. But at the same time, to continuously go up like that is, you know, I'm not confident that that's the turn that the market's going to take. So is this 330k Bitcoin kind of going to come? I mean, I'm still in the range of 150k to 200k. That's firmly where I believe the market cycle is going to peak at, somewhere around that area. So, but at the end of the day, Bitcoin can always go higher based on mathematics and based on market conditions. So if something's dramatic is happening to the economy and people are rushing to Bitcoin as a safe haven, we could absolutely see a price way more dramatic or an incline way more dramatic. And we do see a lot of that kind of like issues happening in the world right now, where we have this kind of economic instability going through. So in terms of Cardano also has a lot of things coming out, a lot of helpful things coming through the blockchain, which is going to be very beneficial to Cardano investors. I know Cardano's not been the most sexy token to talk about. A lot of people shitting on Cardano, and I get it. I think the big thing here is a lot of people see that the token doesn't really do much for an extended period of time. And then they just, you know, they get frustrated because they see all the other projects pumping and they're trying to chase that pump. A lot of people sold their Cardano to get into other projects. So, I mean, it is what it is. I have held Cardano. I have no problem holding Cardano. But a lot of things are coming to the Cardano network. One big thing is Sunday Swap, which their testnet is live now with the Nami wallet. So you can go ahead and set that up and play with the testnet. I set up my Nami wallet, but I haven't been able to figure out getting set up to the testnet just yet. So I'm going to figure that out later on tonight. But at this point, the Cardano Foundation is doing a lot of promotion for a lot of the partners coming through with Cardano. But if we see here, Cardano did have that kind of drop down, right? Where we kind of went down into the zone where these prices we didn't see until this consolidation here. So for a lot of people, it was really worrying because we never really got back to these lows after making a jump like we did here with such force, right? So Cardano just kind of held or tried to hold for quite a while, eventually just lost out and capitulated down, getting down to almost the sub-dollar ADA territory. But now it's moved up to roughly $1.50. I think it's $1.53 right now. The RSI still shows a lot of movement is available for Cardano. So of course it can still go a lot higher, but at this point we're just kind of waiting and seeing exactly what's going to happen over the next couple weeks to months with ADA. What's your thoughts on PSwap these days in the new Canadian exchange StreamX? I haven't looked too much at StreamX quite. Like I think it might be. We'll take a look here. Um, I'd have to look into it. In terms of P-swap, though, and I think this is something that's important to bring up because a lot of people kind of get bearish, and that's fine. Especially when a token doesn't do anything. P-swap. Sorry, I'm trying to find my P-swap tool for P-swap. Okay. Anyway, so as I pull this up, essentially with PSwap, there's a lot of things happening with the PSwap infrastructure. One big thing is they're going for the parachain on Kusama. There's a lot of other updates coming to PSwap in the Sora blockchain. PSwap itself has gone through a couple updates. I'll bring up the decks here while I'm trying to find out exactly what else I'm looking for. PSwap itself has gone through a lot of updates. Now, to be clear, I haven't left PSwap at all. I still provide all of my liquidity in the liquidity pool. So I've been just earning passive PSwap on the daily kind of thing. And that's just it. So right now I'm just waiting. Now, a couple of things to keep in mind with PSwap is it was a soft launch initially. So when it did launch, it wasn't fully fleshed out, right? We still can't even see our vested rewards. So those are the rewards that we're earning, roughly, I think 18 PSwap a day at this point. Geez, I wish I had that website link, info.pswap.io. I think it's something like that, info.pswap.io or something. No, that's definitely not it. Yeah, okay, well, before I put a virus on my computer, essentially the PSwap token has gone down dramatically. A lot of people have said it. A lot of people are being frustrated with the PSwap token dropping, but for me, looking at the project, looking at the tokenomics, it doesn't really scare me all that much seeing the price go down. Now, of course, this doesn't look great when you look at it, but at the same time, the project isn't that old. Going into 2022 too, we have a lot of enhancements coming to the blockchain, and especially if they do get the Kusama parachain auction, that'll be good for the PSwap ecosystem. But at this point, I'm just holding onto what I have in liquidity, which I still provide Zoran Val, Zoran PSwap, and Zoran DAI. So same amount that I provided here. It's a potential buying opportunity. But right now I'm more focused on the high cap tokens at this present time. And the only reason being is because I expect them to go lightning fast, other than these tokens, which will probably follow after. But I am still bullish. I'm still expecting a lot of good things to come to the system. So I'm not particularly worried. But I get it if people are a little bit stressed that their investment has gone down, but nothing looks bad inherently with the project. So I'm not particularly worried. So, and that goes the same thing with Cardano as well. I'm not particularly worried because there's a lot of things coming out with Cardano. And again, a lot of analysts are saying that Cardano could hit $2, get back up to the $2 mark before it makes a move upwards. Potentially to get up to new all-time highs. Now I've seen a lot of people say hey, Cardano going up to $10 or not $10, $100 I think was the prediction I saw. Get your expectations right. It's gonna go up, but $100 is a huge increase from its current market capitalization. So $100 is going to be massive. I don't think that's going to happen. I think the high end for Cardano by the market peak is roughly between the $5 to $8 range. And does that mean that it can't go to $10? Doesn't mean that at all. It can absolutely, but will it? Realistically, I'm expecting it to more stay on the low end. So, or between the 5 to 7, 8 range, somewhere around there. We're gonna play a couple minutes here of a little good old Charlie Hoskinson, just to talk about what's happening with Cardano. It's only gonna be a couple of minutes, so it's not gonna take up too much time. So we're just gonna play it here really quick, and then we will talk about what's to come for ADA.
Ecosystem. So the next 6 months are really about the burn-in. There's over 127 projects that I'm aware of that intend to or are actively building on Cardano. And it looks like we're going to have DEXs imminently, like in the next few weeks, launching on Cardano in some capacity on the mainnet. They're already on the testnet. There are already some on the mainnet, and there's just a lot of competition there. Also, Cody has been making phenomenal progress on JED. There's Oracle progress. There's a litany of things that are being worked on and actively coded to be deployed and commercialized on Cardano. So the next 90 days, Q1 of 2022 is going to be a very busy time, and we're going to see a lot of stuff come out, and we're going to see one hard fork combinator event tentatively scheduled for February. That'll introduce some Plutus enhancements and other things for the project. The next hard fork combinator event is in June, and that's going to bring in a lot of the Plutus improvements that people like the CDA recommend and what we've learned from working with Plutus developers. So that window from January to June is an essential window for commercialization of Cardano, utilization, utility of Cardano, and also for major projects to move forward, like light wallets and so forth, and those experiences with light wallets to have dApp stores and these types of things. So it's a very collaborative process. There's tons of people in the community, and
So there is a lot happening within the space, right? That we need to kind of be aware of, that we need to prepare for, that we need to understand all the different tokens coming through. One being Sunday Swap. Again, I've talked about this before. The beta is open, so you can at least get on here, play around with it. There is a guide here that you can get set up with the beta. I haven't gone through the guide. I've set up my wallet, my NAMI wallet. So I'm not sure if you can see, no, you can't see my extensions, but I have set up my NAMI wallet. So all I need to do is essentially connect my wallet here, and then start playing around with it. But I haven't figured out how to exactly connect it. So I'm figuring all this out. This is all still new. We don't have the initial stake pools yet of Sunday Swap, but there's a lot of other dApps coming out for ADA as well. We're gonna have like lending platforms and a bunch of others coming out for ADA. So I think going into 2022 is going to be pretty exciting to see all the different dApps coming out on the blockchain, and seeing exactly where this is going to go. Because I think obviously, it's been a hard time for say cryptocurrency, and since basically mid year, since about May. It's kind of been pretty hard. So going into having the end of the year come up, having the market kind of take a turn to the upwards trend to an upside, it could be pretty good for going into 2022 and seeing what prices we could see going in for the bull market. And obviously right now, like this all just looks really bullish, right? So again, we had Polygon Matic kind of go into price discovery for a little bit, or go up to all-time highs. We have a lot of other tokens that have just generally been on an uptrend that haven't really been performing that well, right? Like Chainlink is up 25% on the 7-day, doing pretty well on the 7-day. Algorand is also up a good amount as well. So there's a lot of movement in the market that's showing us that, hey, signs of life. The market is taking a turn, and we could potentially be seeing the start of a very bullish 2022. So I'm pretty excited for exactly where we could go. Like VeChain as well. Like look at this chart; it's up 25% on the 7-day, up 6.3% on the daily. So there's a lot of health. The only tokens that I noticed that were kind of like stagnant is maybe the metaverse tokens. Not really, because the weekly has been doing fine. Just on the day, has been a little low, but I'd probably say that's just hype about these tokens dying down a little bit, being focused on some of the other market movers that are moving right now. Because even Decentraland not really making that much moves on the 24-hour chart, making a little bit moves on the 7-day, being at 17%. So it's still the whole point of this is there's still a lot of health in the market, regardless of what's going on. So we will see exactly what's going to happen with Bitcoin, because one, Bitcoin has absolutely broken out of this trend here that we discussed, but we have to see whether or not Bitcoin is going to get above our $52,000 mark and break that kind of resistance. If it does break that resistance, get up to 52,000 and get above 52,000, I think that's going to look pretty bullish for the crypto market. So that's one of the biggest things to kind of keep in mind is where we're actually going with crypto and Bitcoin, because I think ultimately the market is looking pretty bullish at this standpoint, even given our half of the year, half of 2021 was pretty bearish. So we have a lot of things happening also with I didn't want to bring that up just yet, but we'll talk about this next. So we have a lot of other things happening in the global economy of things that are really enhancing how much we need Bitcoin and how much Bitcoin and cryptocurrency is used in other countries. I think in the live stream earlier this week, we talked about how Turkey, their lira is just jettisoning down. I think that kind of sentiment is really resonating around the world, really, because a lot of people are talking about, high inflation, high interest rates potentially. So potentially the interest rates could go higher, which could be a pretty disastrous thing if it's done too quickly. So it's a big thing with the economy and balancing whether or not hyperinflation sets in or whether or not we can maintain where we're currently at. Because remember that 30% of the total U.S. monetary supply has entered the market in 2020 and 2021. A lot of people have jumped into the metaverse just to make a quick buck. And I think, yeah, I think you're completely right. I think a lot of people jumped into the metaverse, got really excited about the hype. Now, I'm super bullish on where the metaverse can go. Ken, you know this, obviously. I talk all the time about like virtual space and how moving things to the virtual world is a direct possibility going into the future. So here is one piece of news, and this is kind of like going through the sentiment of the global space in terms of regulation and cryptocurrency. A lot of these countries and a lot of these central banks just want to get Binance, like, let's settle up. Let's do what we need to do. Like Turkey fined Binance 750K. All right, let's settle up and let's move past this. Let's go, because I think a lot of countries are starting to realize that cryptocurrency and their economies really are going to have to rely on each other. And cryptocurrency can obviously prop up a lot of these economies that are potentially not doing as well. Now, I don't know much about Bahrain's economy. I can imagine that it's not amazing. But I mean, it's in a richer area of the Middle East anyway, so I could be incorrect in saying that. But they are looking to push through legislation with Binance to kind of help facilitate crypto in their country. So, and this is like kind of the move that we see a lot of other countries making as well. And the reason why I say that is because of a lot of countries like Canada and the United States have really limited Binance's interaction. I think Binance had some legal issues in Singapore, so they actually can't operate in Ontario, I believe. Now I could be wrong about the capacity that they operate, so they might have some people in Ontario. But I don't know. I haven't used them since they basically kicked us off the platform. But I know a lot of countries are pushing away from Binance, but a lot of other countries are more bringing in Binance. Now, I don't know how great that is in the grand scheme of things, because Binance, they've had some shady practices in the back end, but they've gotten by. So at this point, they just have so much money that they're able to make the fees go away, which I guess is a benefit to Binance. But then again, who are we really trusting going into the new financial sector, right? So everyone thought maybe 10, 15 years ago that little college kid, Mark Zuckerberg, was not really a threat. And, here we are kind of debating whether or not that's a reality or not. So, and some other YouTubers, some other analysts are also kind of saying the same thing about Bitcoin, that we're breaking this kind of long drawn out downtrend. So again, I drew my line based on Lark Davis here. So his tweet here, obviously him saying that we are looking at a trend reversal going into 2022, which is nice. Thanks for your time on P-Swap Update. I'm doing the same holding for the long term. The new StreamX exchanges in Canada. The project looks good. Check it out sometime. Yeah, for sure. I'll definitely look into that. And in terms of PSwap as well, it's one of those tokens that I'm more expecting for the long term, right? So it's definitely a long-term play. It doesn't hold a dramatic amount on my portfolio, but I am super bullish on where it's going to go, and especially with the tokenomics. So regardless of anything, because I'm still providing liquidity, and if you're providing liquidity, we're still earning those burned tokens that we won't be able to ever earn again. So even if right now the price is a little bit low and the users are a little bit low, we know fundamentally that the project is a good project and it should attract people going into the new year, especially if they get a parachain slot. So if they get a parachain slot in Kusama or in Polkadot, that'll be huge. And I think they're going for a Polkadot slot in the next auction round. But for the first auction round, they're going for a Kusama slot. So And like a lot of billionaires are saying the same sentiment right now, saying forget your fiat, start buying Bitcoin. And I think this is like a big thing in the world right now. They're looking at a lot of cryptocurrencies and Bitcoin alternatives and how to like protect their wealth. And I think that's being like a growing problem going into the new year, going into now. A lot of people are struggling to find good, viable investments and good ways to store their money. A lot of people are worried about inflation. All right, so if you just go to the bank and you ask, "Hey, can I have a mutual fund at a 3% rate," which is I think is pretty standard. You're not even beating inflation at that point. I think the Canadian inflation is somewhere at like a 4.8 range. U.S. inflation is way higher, somewhere in the 6.5 range. So you have to look at investments like that. And also, like, if you look at say the S&P 500 traditionally doing say 12% a year, well, if it traditionally did that same 12%, it definitely wouldn't hit inflation. Now, of course, the S&P did do way higher than 12%, I believe. If we take a look at it, I think the yearly on the S&P is actually crazy. But a lot of the reason why the yearly on the S&P is crazy, and it's going this high, is because of the rampant money printing, right? The rampant money supply, and that money basically generating loans or generating funds to go back into corporations that in turn buy back their shares, have more of an ownership of the company, and the price of the equity goes higher, right? On top of that, we've had a huge push into the stock market by the average investor, right? So like you and me going into the stock market. So I personally got into stocks in 2019. I mean, I was watching like Wall Street bets on Reddit and all those videos even before I got into stocks. So obviously, the amount of people investing is grown exponentially over the last couple of years, and especially with the fact that we've had the pandemic and everything else, and everyone's just been stuck at home for the most part. It's allowed people to hyper focus on the capitalist side of the stock market and how to grow your capital, which is helped a lot of people. It's helped a lot of people, but we've seen a dramatic increase at this point, and we've also seen it help kind of like bigger corporations that have really not been great actors with a lot of those loans and whatnot. So, but at this point, I think right now, it's just kind of glaring to see what's happening right now. And the one big thing that we discussed back on Saturday, whether or not crypto can be bullish, and we talked about this specifically, is the dollar index, the DXY, the US dollar index, has to go down, right, for crypto to also go up. Now, it doesn't always have to work this way, right? Like the dollar index can go up and crypto can still go up, right, simultaneously. But usually, if the value of the dollar is going down, crypto is going to go up against that dollar because crypto is going to be worth more dollars, right? So if the US dollar goes down, crypto goes up. A very simple premise. That also works with stocks, right? So as the dollar goes down, equities go up, right? So you'll see a hyper pace that equities move in the stock market as well. But right now we are seeing that the DXY did have a kind of like a red day today. It's kind of been losing a lot of its momentum, kind of going into more of a consolidation here. After this kind of violent uptrend that has pushed down Bitcoin a couple of times. And this has been a lot of the reason why Bitcoin has kind of went through its drop, right? So we kind of had this period, right, where the dollar is going down. This was the spark of the bull market going into 2021. So you can see here in August where it really started going down, which is exactly when crypto started really spiking, going at a high, fast pace. And then at that point, we kind of bottomed out for the US dollar. And then around in May, June is when the dollar started spiking up. And that's when we saw Bitcoin drop down. So dollar started spiking up, Bitcoin goes down. Makes sense. Which now we might be seeing where we could be seeing a trend reversal on the dollar itself, and could potentially send Bitcoin and cryptocurrency flying. So the power of or so the value of a Bitcoin and cryptocurrency will absolutely go up dramatically if the value of the DXY, if the value of the dollar continues going down. So we'll see exactly what's going to happen. I think a lot of people kind of scream chicken little. I'm probably one of them, right? Like I'm one of the people that say like hyperinflation, we can't stop it because once we know about it, it's already set in, it's already in the economy. It's not like you can stop that once it's set in. But I think the Federal Reserve knows that too, and I think the Federal Reserve is looking for solutions themselves to get out of the mess that they've kind of put themselves in. Because I think they realize that, hey, like, at the end of the day, we're fundamentally screwed. We're fundamentally not able to get out of the hole that we're in. So, but I think that just again speaks volumes to why we need Bitcoin, right? Why Bitcoin's going to be a big player into 2022, why the financial structure is going to get into Bitcoin in 2022. I think we're going to see a lot of people, like, again, we're seeing millionaires or billionaires say, forget your fiat, start buying Bitcoin. We see El Salvador just consistently buying Bitcoin. They're making a Bitcoin city, whatever the hell that means. A lot of other movements are happening with Bitcoin. And one big thing that I changed my life. I use ShakePay. Now I'll actually shake. I think I shook today, but I use ShakePay, and I got the update on the credit card. So I actually got into the credit card. It's amazing. You literally e-transfer money into your ShakePay wallet. You set up your ShakePay card on your Google Play. You just pay with your phone everywhere. It's changed my life, honestly, and you get cash back in Bitcoin. Yeah, it's been a dramatic thing. So I only buy things now with ShakePay. I literally transfer money into my ShakePay account, go out, go get my groceries, and stack sats while I'm doing it. And it's a lot of those passive things, a lot of those little things that are going to kind of add up over time in the long run. Yeah, it's honestly, it's changed the way that I buy groceries, like everything about it. It's completely changed everything. So I'm lucky to have gotten in. I don't know what the lineup is right now of it. I know I got in like a couple of weeks ago. So I don't know. You'd have to check and look and see if it's open to everyone yet, or if there's still a super big lineup. But it's been pretty nice, at least. Like, for me, it's been nice to not have to, like, I used to use my Canadian Tire card a lot just to get Canadian Tire money, right? Buy things from like Sports Check and everything else. But it's nice to be able to actually spend money and earn Satoshis when I spend money. So that makes me happy. And on this sentiment, the weakening dollar, right, is continuing to fuel Bitcoin's price surge. So this is a big deal, right? We've talked about this a lot, that the dollar continuing to weaken is going to power or fuel Bitcoin going up. And again, if you weren't here for the other live stream, we talked a lot about inflation in Turkey. But these are warning signs. These are things that we need to kind of be aware of and understand. Hey, prices can go down further on United States dollar, which would dramatically spike things like normal inflation of things that you buy, being bread, groceries, that kind of thing. Cars, which we see an inflation right now in used cars, mainly because of the parts. We're basically seeing a huge inflation in the economy in general, in almost every aspect of life. So it's dramatic in terms of what's happening with the value of the dollar. But you'll see a value increase on most equities that'll do well. So equities are still a viable saving method, a great method to protect your wealth as well. But just make sure that you're picking the correct equities, ones that will stand the test of time, right? And kind of stay there for the long haul. But a lot of crypto is going to do that as well, right? A lot of crypto projects are going to be things that you can hold for the next 5 years and be super happy with your investment over that time. So right now, actually, today was a crazy day because I think we just have a green day across the board, and we're talking equities as well. Let's see here for Dow Jones. Yeah, so equities as well have been green. Just general market sentiment is up right now. and US dollar sentiment is down. So, I'm not saying that they're super correlated because they don't always have to be, right? So markets can continue going up, even against the dollar going up. So as long as the markets and fundamentals are going up, then we're fine. But I think going into, say, a dark winter, right? A potential winter that, like there's whispers here in Montreal, the potentially going into lockdowns and everything else. Like it kind of feels like the government's going to take that approach, which it sucks. And, I think for the most part, it's going to really hurt a lot of the economy structure for the most part. What's going to happen from that, I don't know. And is it going to be as dramatic as, say, years before I got it, or not years before, lockdowns before? I hope not. I hope actually we don't lock down. I hope we just find viable ways to stay open, because I don't believe we can continue to kind of lock down and hurt where a lot of these businesses are going right now. So, but right now, at least the one bright side is we are looking at the uptrend for Bitcoin and cryptocurrency. So again, the kind of shakier the global markets are, it's kind of more helpful for the volatility of crypto and Bitcoin. So it's something to really keep in mind, right? So we could see a lot of movement for a lot of cryptocurrency going into the new year. It's going to be a big deal. Also, we have like some tokens like XRP. A lot of you might know that I'm a huge XRP bull. I've talked a lot about XRP before. We actually read some Brad Garlinghouse tweets on the last live stream. But I think we're getting close to this case ending, right? I think we're getting super close to where we can honestly say that this case is coming to finality, and hopefully we are going to see a resolution that is positive for XRP, for Ripple and the XRP holders. And I think we're going to see it. I mean, I think the writing is on the wall with this one. Like the Federal Reserve just approved the transaction type that XRP facilitates, or the XRPL facilitates. I mean, it's a no-brainer. They're working with the IMF. They're working with central banks. And right now it seems like there's no bigger organization than the central banking organization. I think they're most in cahoots with what's happening with global markets. So I think, in my opinion, XRP is the bridge to onboard the legacy financial system. So that's ultimately why I'm invested in XRP, and I believe that this case is going to kind of get beaten out. So we'll see what happens. It's definitely going to be exciting going into the new year to see if potentially we could see a higher price with it, because obviously it's been a little bit of a drag over 2021 since the case essentially was put in roughly just under a year, or just over a year ago today. So let's see here. In terms of other tokens, I guess we can trying to think of what other tokens we could talk about, or what else is going in the market. Because I think right now we're sitting at a $2.4 trillion market cap at this point. So we're still fairly low compared to where we were back in November, and again back in May. So where is the May range? Oh wow. So here's May, right? So May is here, and then this is November, the November peak where Bitcoin hit, I think, 67K. I think got rejected at 69K though, didn't it? Let's see. Yeah, I think it got rejected basically at 69K. Yeah, got rejected at 69K, closed at 67K. That's right. So right now we still have a lot of room to make up to get back up to these levels, but we don't actually have like all that much room that it wouldn't take more than, say, a month. We've seen moves like this before with the general market, and I think that's a 600 billion increase from where it is now. So hypothetically, could we see $600 billion go into the crypto market space over the next couple weeks? I think it'd be absolutely possible. Is BTC liquidating right now? No. Let's look at the shorter time frame charts though, and we can take a look at what it is live. I wouldn't say it's liquidating. No. I'd say we're still in an uptrend, we're still in a general uptrend for Bitcoin. And again, this is like super speculation zone, right? This is like 15-minute charts, so please keep this, take this with a super big grain of salt, okay, guys? But yeah, we're still kind of in a general uptrend for Bitcoin if we go from the bottom of the candles. So yeah, general uptrend. I don't think we have anything to worry about here. We did have this like little spike down, but we're kind of working our way back up. So we'll see exactly what happens through the next couple hours. I think the biggest thing here, and the little moves are going to happen, right? I think it's the biggest thing here is to look at what is going to happen macro, and in terms of like what's going to happen tomorrow, right? What's going to happen on the next daily close. Even looking at something like the 4-hour chart is pretty helpful as well. But taking a look at the shorter time frames can be detrimental. Now, yeah, hold on. Yeah, we're looking at 4-hour. I guess like what 6 hours ago we had a say you could call this a rejection at 52,000. So I mean, I guess potentially we could have gotten rejected there if we look at shorter time frames. So hold on, I'll bring it down to 30 minutes. If we look at shorter time frames, yeah, so we could say that we kind of got rejected at 52,000 in that range. So we'll see. We'll see if we can hold. If we can hold here and continue going up, then we should be good. If we don't hold here and we continue going down, I mean, I'm still not worried, right? So as long as Bitcoin is above 42K, we can still be fairly bullish. And 2, we have this uptrend that we can still beat. So we'll see exactly what happens. But I don't think we have anything to worry about here. I think it's just the market being the market. So, but who knows? We could wake up tomorrow to some serious liquidations, right? We could have a lot of people liquidated overnight. So anything could potentially happen. Yeah, but I think for the most part, like if you look at these market cycles, if you look at the market cycle here, I think it's kind of clear that we're going into the new year. So I think the biggest thing in discussion for this year for a lot of people was whether or not we're going to see a market peak this year, and by the end of the year. And I think that's kind of been heavily disproven. We're not going to see that market peak. So. Because right now from the bottom, we're looking at 157 weeks of this market cycle here. So generally where we're at right now is 157 weeks. If we take a look at the bottom here, up to the market peak, let's go. Yeah, my mouse is acting really weird, but 151 weeks, right? So it's not that big of a difference right now compared to last market cycle. But if we look at the market cycle before that, right, we have a dramatically shorter time. And you can kind of, like, if you were looking at this objectively, now, the big thing is we don't have a lot of market data. Like, we've only had a couple of market cycles that we've had to go through to experience and see exactly where we're at. But if you look at this objectively, you can honestly say that, okay, like each market cycle is growing bigger. The first one was 50 weeks, next one was 100 weeks, next one was 150 weeks. You know, where are we going to go to? Are we really going to stop right here at 151 weeks, the same amount that we had in 2017? I think anyone with a pattern recognizing mind would see that we're most likely going to go a little bit further and extend into 2022. I think that's the most viable thing for Bitcoin to do at this point. So but at this point, I'm trying to figure, like, I thought I had plenty to talk about, to be honest. I thought I had like a lot to talk about, but I guess not as much as I thought. Let's see here. I'm just gonna open up my news aggregate, see if there is anything that that we could talk about, any Twitter posts that are happening right now, anything like that. I guess there are some things that we could talk about, like a Kala. If we could take a look at a Kala, what's happening on that platform now. Because I know a couple of people probably have gotten into Kala a little bit. I think the biggest thing is they have the testnet open. So you can open through your testnet and you can kind of play around with how everything works. So I'm just setting up my Polkadot.js. So everything's still testnet for this. Let's see. I'm trying to get Twitter and news. There we go. So they still have the live utility for KSM in Aurora. Oh, do they have the Twitter? Oh, the Twitter I selected went to Aurora and not Akala. So here we go. Let's see here. So it looks like the only big thing that they're launching is the Polka wallet, or they're announcing the Polka wallet coming into 2022. This is gonna be a big thing because a lot of people trade mobile, especially like Binance too. I know a lot of people that just trade Binance Mobile. They love it. So a lot of people have that want or need to kind of get into the mobile trading rather than the desktop, which I agree with to a capacity. I'm more of a desktop person. So I can't say that much has happened on the project and the update. So we'll kind of hold tight and wait for that to kind of bring up some more news. So I guess nothing to report right now for Akala. I think so this is one thing that came out from that live stream. So we didn't watch all of it, and this is one thing that I want to be careful of with someone like Charles Hoskinson, because I think like at one level, I really like Cardano, I really like the project, I really like where we're going. But I think someone like Charles Hoskinson has a bit of an ego about him, definite ego in terms of how he goes about himself and how he kind of projects that he knows the correct way rather than taking other people's opinions. So there's a lot of issues with that perspective. You know, it's hard to really maintain that perspective in a lot of ways. So and not look like pompous, right? Not look like just arrogant, which I think a lot of people kind of get with a lot of his content. I've heard it a lot, at least. A lot of people like are upset with how Charles kind of goes about himself. So I think him trying to step into other worlds and saying he wants to fix things can be a little bit misspoken with the wellest intention that he could possibly have. But that being said, I mean, we have a lot of DeFi capabilities coming out in the Cardano ecosystem. So I think ultimately that's going to be bullish. Well, I wish I had way more to talk about, but I really don't. So I am gonna actually end the live stream because yeah, I didn't have much else planned, and it's already an hour in. So I'm going to end it here. I think most people have kind of left anyway, which is no big deal. If you do want to catch these live streams, they are going to be available Monday, Wednesday, and of course Saturday as normal. I'll probably have something better prepared for the longer live streams because I do want these to go generally 2 hours. So we are cutting this one a little bit short, but all good. This is all a trial and error, work in progress, whether these live streams are going to do well. And I think over time, people are going to gain awareness that they're here. So thank you everyone for at least tuning in. I really appreciate you guys stopping by, checking out the live stream for the day. Hopefully you guys are looking as hopeful and prospectful going into 2022 as I am. Of course, I'm looking at the big price targets for Polkadot, for Bitcoin, for XRP, for Ethereum going into the new year. Super excited for what's going to happen, and I think you should all be too. Hopefully you guys all enjoy your night and take it easy, everyone.